Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to the YouTube channel of Allied School Salman Farsi Campus. Today we will read lesson number 7, Unit 3 London. We will read two chapters, Diary, The Great Fire of London, September 1666, page number 57-58, and The Burning of St. Paul's Cathedral, page number 60 to 62. Let's take start from the Great Fire of London, September 1666. The Great Fire of London started in a baker's shop during the night of 1st September 1666 and continued for several days. The following extracts are from Samuel Pepys' diary, written during the Great Fire. There are three diary entries. In his diary entry for 2nd September, Pepys is telling us about the tragic fire which was destroying everything. People were running here and there, their houses already burned. They were removing their goods into little boats. The fire was spreading very fastly. It was a terrible sight. Among other things, the poor pigeons had to leave their houses. Some of them burned their wings and fell down. The fire, as an entire arc of flame from this to the other side of bridge, about a mile long, made people weep. In short, the horrible fire burned everything there. In his diary entry for 4th September, he is telling that he and his friend dug a hole in the ground and buried their precious things there, like office papers, wine, Parmesan cheese, etc. To stop the fire, some houses in Tower Street were blown up. At first, the people were frightened, but it had stopped the fire. Pepys wrote a letter to his father which could not go because the post office had also burned. In his diary entry for 5th September, he told that the streets were full of people. They were carrying their goods and were very sad. They had to pay 2 pence for a plain penny loaf. He also saw a cat taken out of the chimney, all burned off her body, but still alive. Thus, the fire destroyed everything. Now, come to the next page, reading for understanding. Question answers. There are 8 questions. Question number 1. What did Pepys see when he went down to the water side? Question number 2. Which details tell you about the effect of the fire on living creature apart from human beings? Question 3. What made Pepys weep in his diary entry for 2nd September? Question 4. What could Pepys hear on that day, 2nd September? Question 5. Why did Pepys and his friend dig holes in the ground? Question number 6. Why were the houses in Tower Street blown up? Question number 7. What did Pepys record seeing and feeling in Moorfields in his diary entry for 5th September? And the last question, question number 8. What does Pepys' purchase of the loaf indicate about prices following the fire? Okay, the answers to these questions are given on the screen, beta. Okay. You have to write these answers and the question in your notebook and also learn them. Now come to the next text. This is non-fiction, The Burning of St. Paul's Cathedral. page number 60 to 62. St. Paul's Cathedral, the highest, greatest, and most visible building of London, as it stood apart from other houses, and the people believed it would be safe from fire. So the booksellers moved their stock into its basement to save it from the fire. But unfortunately, that evening, fire broke on the cathedral roof. A burning piece of wood carried overhead by the wind had brought fire to St. Paul's. The flames were so intense that a boy 1 mile away was able to read his book by the light of its flames. An eyewitness told that the melted lead was running down like snow before the sun, and the huge stones crashing onto the pavement. The lead ran out into the streets like a stream. Nobody could walk on them. Even the huge bells melted. Pieces from falling roof broke open tombs and their lead coffins. It continued burning night and day. The horrible fire destroyed everything. Even the books carefully kept underground were also burned. After the fire, it was rebuilt by Sir Christopher Wren and once again became the most prominent building of London. Okay, now come to vocabulary. Question is, find the words from the text, the burning of St. Paul's Cathedral, to put in the gap in each of the following sentences. There are 6 sentences. Number 1 is, because Ruxana was so much taller than all her classmates, she always felt conspicuous. Second, after the big American pizza parlor opened up in town, many street food vendors lost their livelihood. Number 3, burning brands from the exploding building set fire to neighboring houses. Number 4, to make their potion, the witches filled their cauldron with special ingredients including the feet of lizards. Number 5, the waves during the storm were massive and caused a great deal of damage to the houses along the sea front. And number 6 is, during the demolition, stones were gigantic at the police vehicle. Okay, now come to the next reading for understanding. There are 5 questions. Question number 1, why were the booksellers so sure that their stocks of books would be safe in the crypt of St. Paul's? Number 2, how did St. Paul's catch fire? Number 3, what illustration does the writer give to the brightness of the flames? Number 4, what happened to the lead from the roof of St. Paul's? And the last one is, how does the writer illustrate the enormous intensity of the fire? And the answer to these questions are given on screen. You can see it, and beta, you have to write all these questions and answer in your notebook and learn them by heart. Okay, With this, your today's lesson has come to an end. Thank you. Have a nice time.